To all my Arsenal friends, whatever is going to make me beat you this weekend, you need to pray against it. When you go to bed at night, make sure you get down on your knees and pray that Manchester United does not beat you this weekend. Pray and hope that we don't beat you this weekend. But let's be honest, it is going to be a very, very tough game because Arsenal have had the better of us over the past couple of years, right? Last year, I know we beat them in, was it the FA Cup? We beat them in the FA Cup. It was actually a tight game, right? But we went on to beat them in penalties. But it was a very good game. If this is your first time here, please, I want you to subscribe. I'm begging. Subscribe so you can get notified and turn on notification bell so you can get notified whenever a new video gets posted and you can come and watch. You can come and enjoy with us. But we're here to talk about the Arsenal game this weekend, right? Because we go to the Emirates Stadium to play Arsenal, the host us. It's going to be a fierce battle. It is going to be a game. I really hope that it can be a tough game because sometimes you go to the Emirates and we just make it so easy for Arsenal, right? But right now we're playing under Michael Carrick. He's faced Arsenal before and fortunately he won against Arsenal 3-2. I think that was in 2021-2022 after the sacking of Solskjaer, that period where he was the interim manager and managed about 3 games, if I'm not mistaken. We did beat Arsenal 3-2, but that was at home. And last year, like I said, we went to the Emirates and we beat them. So we've not had a lot of good results like we used to have against them during the time of Sir Alex Ferguson and Arsene Wenger, but we've had some good games against them. So it's going to be a very good battle. But before we talk about Manchester United as usual, let us talk about Arsenal. And as like I always say, as we have a conversation about, because this is more of a conversation, I want you guys to let me know your thoughts in the comment section as we go through the video, we talk about the game. Let me know your thoughts in the comment section. If you don't agree with anything, let me know. If you want to add anything, let me know. I'm always open to hearing you guys' thoughts. But like I said, Arsenal, right? They beat us in the opening game. We played our opening game this season against them. And they did beat us 1-0. But it was a very, very good game. We put in a very good performance. But fortunately for them, they got away with the 3 points. And that's what matters in football. As long as you can get away with the 3 points, nothing else matters. And they got away with the 3 points, all thanks to a set piece goal. They scored against us. Their very first set piece goals. And that's going to be my next point I want to talk about, because looking at the goals scored this season, the stats this season, I think my Arsenal are the team with the most goals scored from set pieces, and Man United are the next. So they are first and we are second. So we score a lot of goals from set pieces. But let's be honest, Arsenal are a different breed when it comes to set pieces, especially corners. That's why we call them corners, corner FC. So going into this game, our set piece routine is going to be something that we have to work on. We would have to work on that because they're going to trouble us some set pieces. They did it against Inter. I think they scored about 2 goals from set pieces. They do it against like every team. They did it against even the lower teams. They do it against everybody. So set pieces is going to be one thing we have to focus on because they are going to threaten us. If we don't defend set pieces, they are going to take advantage of it. And also, we need to be ready to score from set pieces because that's just one way to win the game. Like when you go back to the first game, the opening game of the season, we played well. We had so many chances, but unfortunately for us, our players did not finish their chances. And that's where we fell short. But Arsenal had their chance, which was a set piece, and they took it. They took it because we did not defend it. And that's just football. You don't take your chance, you get punished. So we have to be on top of our game when it comes to set pieces going into this game. And another thing, at the start of the season, we had the whole back and forth between Gyökeres and Sesko. We wanted Gyökeres. Gyökeres ended up going to Arsenal. They wanted Sesko. Sesko ended up coming to Manchester United. So Gyökeres he barely starts, Sesko barely starts, so that would have been another interesting battle, but I don't even think that's something you want to bring up right now because looking at the last game, Michael Carrick did not even start Sesko. He's not been settled in the Premier League yet, and Gyökeres himself has been going through a tough times. When you speak to some Arsenal fans, they say when he's on the pitch, they play well. He just doesn't score goals, but I don't know. I don't really watch him like that, but yeah. Now let's talk about Manchester United, right? Let's talk about Manchester United. And before we go into the tactics, the lineup, and what to expect or what we might see from Michael Carrick going into this game, I want to talk about some players. And I'm going to start with Patrick Dorgu, right? Patrick Dorgu. I want to start with him. Because this guy, right, Patrick Dorgu has been one of those players. He came into Manchester United. He's been at Manchester United for a year now. He came in during the winter transfer window last year. That was in January. He got purchased from Lecce. He came in young, raw. We've had our complaints when it comes to Dorgu, especially in the final third. But one thing I've always said is that there's a player in there. When you look at his ball progressions, you look at his runs, he's very athletic. He's dribbling. You look at those details, you can tell that there is a player in there. But where we do have a problem is in the final third. His decision making in the final third. That's where he needed some development. And I think that he has kind of worked on that. We sort of started seeing some of the output in the final third. In the final days of Ruben Amorim's tenure, right? By the way, I still have to talk about that, but we sort of saw some of the output in the final third improve towards the last couple of days of Ruben Amorim's tenure, and that was when Mbeumo, Amad Diallo, and Nuzem Aswari they went on the AFCON break. He started chipping in with goals, assists, and during the last game, he found himself on the wing. Right? And he scored a goal. That is to tell you that there is a player in there, but he just needs that coaching. He needs to be coached. He needs to be coached so we can get the final product. I personally think that he's going to be a very good player for Manchester United for years to come. Right? Like I said, Dorgu, very important player. He was very instrumental in our last game. And the next one I'm going to talk about is Bruno and Kobbie Mainoo. But before I talk about them, I just want to talk about Kobbie Mainoo, right? Because Kobbie has been someone that everyone has been saying he should get his chance. He should get his chance. Especially when under Ruben Amorim. And I'm one of the people who always said, I believe he should be getting his chances, but one thing we have to understand is that when it comes to the manager, each manager has a tactics and they have the way they have a system they want to play, right? And if Ruben Amorim felt that Kobbie wasn't the right person at that time, I would back him, and which is what I did. But we all know that Kobbie is a very good player. He's that player that can dictate the play. He can slow the game down. He can keep the ball. He can win fouls. He can take you up the pitch as well. And we saw it in the last game. The link-up play with Bruno Fernandes in midfield and Casemiro. And that's why I always said the problem is not that Kobbie is a bad player. Kobbie is a very good player, but he needs to play with the right players around him. If you put Kobbie in the midfield too, you're going to bring down his confidence, you're going to bring down his market value, and you're going to turn the fans on him. So you need to put him into the team when the time is right. So I just felt like that wasn't the right moment. But now that he plays in the midfield three, we see how important he is. We see how good he is. And I know it's just a game. But I'm going to say that there is a player in there. No, there's nothing anybody else can tell me. There's a player in there. And with Bruno, with him playing alongside Bruno in midfield, we don't know what's going to happen with Bruno at the end of the season. He had that interview where he said he wasn't happy with the club. They wanted to sell him. Saudi, they've always wanted to purchase him. There was that 100 million offer on the table. Got turned down. So we don't know what's going to happen at the end of the season. But I just feel like him playing with Bruno Fernandes for the remainder of the season is very important for him. It is a very good thing for him because he's going to learn of somebody. And he's not just going to learn off Bruno. Another one I'm going to get to is Casemiro, right? Because he's also retiring. He has been confirmed that he's going to be retiring at the end of the season. So for Kobe Mainoo to get the opportunity to play the last 5 months with the likes of Bruno Fernandes and Casemiro, who are top players, top professionals, especially Casemiro, someone who has won 5 Champions League, there is a lot for him to learn of somebody like that. There is so much for him to learn of somebody like that. So I'm looking forward to see his development over the next 5 or 4 months, however much is left in the remainder of the season. But I'm looking forward to seeing how much more he can develop. And I talked about Casemiro, right? And this is what he had to say, right? This is what Casemiro had to say. He said, "It is not time to say goodbye. There are many more memories to create during the next 4 months." That's what he said on leaving Manchester United in the summer, because it has been confirmed. Like I said, it is not time to say goodbye. There are many more memories to create during the next 4 months. Casemiro is that player who I think we ended up buying Casemiro because of the lack of incompetence from the Manchester United owners back then, which I still think the owners we have right now are incompetent. I always say it. The Glazers and Ineos are just birds of the same feathers flocking together. But it was due to the incompetence of the owners back then. But I don't think he was a bad player. We got him at a time when he was declining. But the problem is the price we paid. Right? We got Casemiro. Sorry about that. We got Casemiro at a time when he was old, he was declining. But the problem was the price that we paid for Casemiro. We paid 70 million for someone who was going into his 30s. I think he was 29, 30. That's a lot of money. That's a lot of money. And that's why Real Madrid sold him, because they knew he was on the decline. But for what he's coming and he's given us, I don't think as a player he's given, because we've spent 50, 60 million on Ugarte, and he's not giving us half of what Casemiro has given us for 70 million. The problem is his age. Now you don't get any value when you want to sell him. Ugarte, you could probably go out there and get 20 million. At the end of the day, you spend 30 million and whatever you paid on his wages. But Casemiro, you paid him 300K a week, and you spend that much on his transfer fees. That was bad business when it comes to the financial aspect of it. But he's giving us so much, and he's still willing to give us a lot more for however much left he has left at Manchester United. That is to tell you how professional he is. How professional. And you can definitely see that when he leaves the club, he is going to love the club. He's going to be like Bastian Schweinsteiger, someone who has played for Bayern Munich, but he talks more about Manchester United than he does talk about Bayern Munich. And Casemiro might just turn out to be one of those players who talks more about Manchester United than he does talk about Real Madrid. That's just who we are. But these players, right, especially these 3 midfielders, they are going to be very instrumental for the next 4 months if we have to qualify for the Champions League. I hope that the club can go out there and get another midfielder, because I've always been singing it. We need a midfielder. I don't care who we have. We need a midfielder. I hope they can go out and get someone else. But if they don't, because at this point you don't know what to expect from Ineos, if they don't go out there and get a midfielder, then hopefully these guys can give us their best for the remainder of the season and help us qualify for Champions League, because that's our only trophy. That's the only thing we can win this season. Let's be realistic. There's nothing. We don't have anything else, by the way, to compete for. But moving on to the lineup, right? This was the lineup against Manchester City this weekend. My only concern with this lineup is 2 spots, right? What happens to Mbeumo and what happens to Dorgu? Dorgu has that possibility of being the next Gareth Bale, right? Or he's Patrick Dorgu, but he has that possibility of following in the footsteps of Gareth Bale. Gareth Bale was a right back who was it a left back or right back who got converted to a right winger, and he was lightning fast. He was he's dribbling. He had speed. He could dribble. He could shoot. He could score goals, bangers, and those are the things we already see in Dorgu, right? He is a defender, a fullback. Now he plays as a winger. He has that pace. He can run up and down all game. You see the similarities? He has that possibility. He's already scored like three goals in how many games? And most of those goals have been goals that defenders don't score those goals. Like people who are out and out defenders, they don't score such goals. For you to score such a goal, you need to have that killer instinct. I don't want to say striker's instinct, but you need to have that attacking instinct. You need to, like an attacker, you need to know where the ball will land at. He did that. The strike against Newcastle, which won us the game, the volley. Not everybody could hit that ball like that coming down. The goal he scored against Manchester City, right? Immediately the ball got whipped in. He got in front of the defender to score. The assists he's been creating, the crosses he's been putting in, he has that possibility to go on to be the next Gary Bale. But now the question is, will he maintain that position? Can he play there throughout the rest of the season? That's where we have our first question. And the next question now is Mbeumo, right? I heard someone say Michael Carrick does not like to use out-and-out strikers. I don't know how true that is, because when he coached us in 2021, I don't remember who was our striker. I can't remember exactly. And when he was at Middlesbrough, I didn't really watch or follow his team. But Mbeumo used to play as a striker for Brentford as well. So he has that movement of a striker. He has some experience playing in that position. But now, going back into this game, what happens to Mbeumo? Does Mbeumo go to the wing? Because if he goes to the wing, then what happens to Ahmad? That's another question. Ahmad is someone that he's been so threatening on the left with his quick feet. He's been so threatening on the left. If he goes back to the left, what happens? And who comes in? Sesko? If Sesko comes in, he doesn't put in the same work rate that Mbeumo would put in. Because I think the same thing we did against Man City is just what we're supposed to do against Arsenal. I don't see us changing tactics against Arsenal, right? Man City, we're lucky to play at home. We go away to the Emirates. We can't even come out to play with Arsenal. We can't go toe-to-toe with Arsenal. We'd have to sit back, hit them on the counter. So I just feel like we might be seeing the same formation against Man City. If not, maybe some 1 or 2 tweaks. But I really don't see who drops out for who. And lastly, Dalot. If anyone has to drop out, deservedly, it has to be Dalot. But unfortunately, we just don't have a better option. So he's just going to stay in there. But if we have to go into next season with Dalot as our fullback, I'm not even going to say our first choice fullback. If he has to be the second choice fullback, then we might as well just close the club. Because this is why managers are getting sacked left and right, because of players like this. Players who miss clear-cut chances in front of the goal. You can't defend, you can't pass, you can't attack, you can't score, you can't do shit. All you do is get paid. If we have to go into next season with Dalot as any of our fullbacks, I don't care if it's first choice or second choice, they might as well just sell the club and share the money to the fans, because we are tired of suffering. Yeah. But I think, like I said, I think we are going to be seeing something like this against Arsenal, something similar against Arsenal. One last thing I want to talk about, right? There were some reports today that came up about Cole Palmer. And funny enough, I had thought about this at some point, right? There were some reports that came out about Cole Palmer being open to joining Manchester United. He's a Manchester United fan. He plays for Chelsea, but he's a Manchester United fan, and he's always said it. And one thing I said is, people kept on asking, Bruno is about to leave, Bruno is about to leave, who replaces him? And one thing I always said is, if you're Manchester United and you want to make a statement that you're still Manchester United and you're there, what you do is you go to the likes of Chelsea and get Cole Palmer. Get a player like Cole Palmer. Because you get a Manchester United fan, you get a top player, and you get a player with the Premier League experience already. You can easily, I just think Bruno is irreplaceable, but you can somewhat get to that point if you bring in a player like Cole Palmer. And he can offer you, he can play as a winger, he can play as an attacking midfielder. So I think if we can get a player like Cole Palmer, that's a statement. The only problem becomes his contract. If we have to get Cole Palmer, he has to push for the move because he has a lengthy contract till like 2033. You know, that's what Chelsea do. They sign players and they give them lifetime contracts. So to get him is where there's going to be a problem. But if we can negotiate a good deal, get a player like Cole Palmer, that's something I would do. That's something I would do, you know. But for my score prediction for this game, right? This is a tough one. This is a very tough one. Like, predicting this game is a very tough one because I love Manchester United. I don't see Manchester United. There's never going to be a game where we go into the game and I'm like, okay, Manchester United is going to lose. But to go to the Emirates and get a result is going to be tough. It's going to be tough. But I'm going to be backing Manchester United to get a 1-1 draw. I'm going to be going for a 1-1 draw. We can sit back, stop Arsenal from breaking us down, maybe hit them on the counter, and they might be able to nick a set piece goal. And we come away with a 1-1 draw. I think if the game is tied, I am very, very satisfied. I know Arsenal fans will not be satisfied, but I will be very satisfied. But like I said, anything that will make me beat Arsenal this weekend, all Arsenal fans should make sure that they leave social media. Just turn off your phones and go offline if you know me as an Arsenal fan. But good luck to the squad. Good luck to the team. I hope we can come out on the winning side on Sunday. And I'm looking forward to the game. Remember to like the video, subscribe, share, and let me know your thoughts in the comment section.